everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 34 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Impact Wrestling history with match number 17 on our list, which is the Steel Cage match for the NWA World Tag Team Championships between the champions Triple X of Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper and the challengers America's Most Wanted of Chris Harris and James Storm from the June 25th, 2003 edition of NWA-TNA. Now, a couple of videos ago, I talked about the origin of Triple X and kind of how they came to be. They were essentially the X Division members of Vince Russo's Sports Entertainment Extreme stable. As that stable, started to crumble in early-ish, 2003, Triple X proved that they were going to be a tag team as opposed to really X Division guys. So they did the Freebirds thing with Low-Key, Christopher Daniels, and Elix Skipper. Early on in their championship run, though, Low-Key was missing a lot of time. He had, commitments in Japan with Pro Wrestling 01. He suffered, a pretty bad shoulder injury in a match in the UK. So it was really Daniels and Skipper that were kind of, carrying that Triple X banner, and they did a great job. So as the NWA World Tag Team Champions, they engaged in a feud with former champions, America's Most Wanted. And in early, 2003, I really feel that this is kind of what carried TNA. There was, good stuff with Raven's debut, and then that kind of fell flat, as I discussed, earlier in this video series. You still had all of that Vince Russo, involvement. So even things like, AJ Styles becoming champion, which a lot of people wanted to see, it was all kind of muddled. But these guys, they had a really, really tremendous feud. But the one constant throughout their feud was the numbers game, right? So Triple X being a three-person unit, they would constantly use the numbers to their advantage. They, would cheat and things of that nature as heels normally would. Both of these teams ended up in a collision at the TNA first anniversary show, where Low-Key, despite being injured, helped out his teammates to help them retain the titles, and that led to this Steel Cage match. So basically, we would have it as 2-on-2, there's no escape, there's no interference. It would still be a traditional tag team match, and that's something that I really have always liked about Impact or TNA Steel Cage matches is, although there have been some exceptions, for the most part, they end on a pin or a submission, which I think is hugely important, right? A steel cage match is to settle a grudge. It shouldn't be won by who can climb the fastest or escape through a door, right? It should be used to hold those two competitors in there and settle their grudge, and that's exactly what they did here. It does not take long for this match to get bloody. Both members of AMW are tremendous bleeders. And really good at garnering sympathy, when they wear the crimson mask as well. So Chris Harris very quickly gets busted open. They do a good heat sequence on him. He's able to make the hot tag to James Storm. But then it's something I really, really like. This match goes through a double heat sequence, but the reasoning for it is so good because Harris makes the hot tag to Storm. He goes wild, but he still falls victim to the numbers game because Chris Harris basically is just lying in the corner bleeding out. Like he's, so beat up, so bloody, he can't help his partner out. And the numbers game, which they've established throughout this feud, once again takes precedent as James Storm gets beat down. We finally do, though, get the big hot tag to Chris Harris, which, is the revenge hot tag. He comes in, he splits Christopher Daniels open by, hitting him into the cage. And this is where this match really escalates into something special. They do all sorts of big-time moves involving the cage. Christopher Daniels hits like a flatliner off the top rope while both guys are, hitting their heads off the cage. James Storm hits a super bomb at one point. Chris Harris hits a spear, off of the top rope, same thing, right? Where they're kind of fighting on that rope, hitting each other against the cage, and he hits the spear off of it. And things just continue to escalate. So they do some great near falls where Daniels and Skipper hit all of their signature moves but can't, put AMW away. They hit last rites, they hit Angel's Wings, they hit the play of the day. everything gets to you. So in just an absolutely insane spot, you know, I talk about Elix Skipper and the Ultimate X match video from a couple of episodes ago. You know, the dude hits a huge crossbody off the Ultimate X trusses in that match. So here he hits a crazy high crossbody off the cage. And again, it just made perfect sense. What they've been doing wasn't working. He had to take it up a notch and take that you know, escalated risk. When that is unable to put it away, he goes back to the top of the cage again, you know, to try something else crazy. But what happens, he gets knocked off the top of the cage, and instead of going down to the mat below, he actually falls and kind of, you know, hangs off the cage and ends up crashing and hitting the arena floor. And this was so poetic. You know, the numbers game I had mentioned had been the overall story. So finally, AMW was able to get one up on Triple X and get the numbers game themselves. With Skipper locked out of the cage door locked. You know, he tries to scale the cage back up, but AMW does a great job, you know, hitting him off every time he does it. And this becomes a 2-on-1 match leading into the finish. AMW, they go for the death sentence, which is their finisher. They basically hit like a modified version of it, whether it was intentional or not. Chris Harris kind of comes down with a splash instead of the normal leg drop. Maybe it was from the blood loss, I don't know. But when, you know, they're unable to get the job with that, which again, in a way I kind of liked, whether it was a botch or not, you know, it wasn't Daniels kicking out of their finish. He was kicked out of a modified version, but, you know, it still protects, you know, the death sentence as this, you know, be-all and end-all maneuver for America's Most Wanted. So then we get just an absolutely legendary finish where they go for it again. Chris Harris goes to the very top of the steel cage and hits the leg drop off of the top of the cage to, you know, Christopher Daniels, who's being held elevated, you know, in the Vegematic position by James Storm for the 3. The crowd goes wild, and we have new NWA World Tag Team Champions. This match is the epitome of what a tag team grudge match should be. It's got lots of blood, it's got lots of drama, it's got lots of big moves, it has callbacks to their feud, and it has one of the most satisfying big move finishers of all time. When this match happened, it was by far the best match in NWA-TNA history up until that point, and this match would hold that title, in my opinion, up until the point where, you know, TNA shifted to the, you know, more traditional, regular monthly pay-per-views. I remember watching this match live. I recorded it on a VHS tape, and I watched it back a couple of times throughout the week that followed because I thought it was so good. I have very fond memories of this match. You can, of course, create your own memories with it on Impact Plus. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and you can please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.